Friends, in one way or another, all of our readings this morning speak to us about the importance of faith. But it is said that faith is one of the most confusing words in the English vocabulary. And for good reasons, because very oftentimes we don't know exactly what it means to have faith. Many opponents of faith will talk about faith as if it's reducible to sentimentality, to a simple psychological phenomenon, but certainly something that's below reason, and something that cannot be mixed with the fields of science, biology, psychology, astrology. We have to say very clearly that as Christians, we believe in the visible and the invisible. We believe that God created a world, a universe that can be discovered. That's why it's no accident that most of the scientific method in the fields of science have been advanced through the Catholic Church. Well, why? Because, there were clergy and they had education and they had time on their hands. And so they were able to delve into the discoveries of the universe. For example, the Big Bang Theory. Did you know that was first proposed by a Catholic priest in the 1800s? It wasn't something that came from an atheist or somebody who pretended that science held all the answers. We have to say very clearly that faith is not below reason, but faith is above reason. Faith gives meaning and purpose to everything in the universe. Scientists are free to discover everything God has created, but they are not free to take as fact or make judgments on things that are invisible, that is out of their field, out of their categories. Our readings today talk to us about what it really means to have faith. Maybe as a working definition, we could say what it means to have faith is to have an attitude of trust before God. An attitude of trust before God. In fact, if you hear the word faith or believe, simply replace those words with the word trust, and you'll have what we mean by faith or belief. And so when we turn to our gospel today, we hear something strange. The disciples say, "Jesus, increase our faith." And does he give them an answer? Yes. What does he say? Well, he doesn't say, "Okay, yeah, here's faith, zap." He doesn't say, "Well, you're not ready for faith, you don't deserve it." What does he say? If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, "Be uprooted and be planted in the sea," and it would obey you. Has anyone ever seen that happen? No? If you talk to one of the maple trees out here in the parking lot or in the grass, would you say, "Be uprooted and be planted in Lake Michigan"? Why in the world does Jesus answer their request for faith by giving such a strange analogy? The same reason he often answers questions with riddles. He wants the asker or the requester to be sure they know what they are asking for. You see, when you ask for faith, you are asking for something that is beyond your control. You are asking for God to help you trust him in every circumstance of your life. You are, in many ways, relinquishing control over your life. And that's what it means to have faith. And that's why he wants to make sure the disciples here know exactly what it means when they ask for an increase in their faith. There was an old story several years ago Bishop Sheen used to tell. Who remembers Bishop Sheen? Archbishop Fulton Sheen. And a woman had approached him and said, "Father," he was a priest at the time, he said, "Father, would you pray for me? I'm struggling with patience. Could you pray for patience for me this week?" And Bishop, being a good priest, said, "Yes, of course I will." And so throughout that week, the woman had more troubles struggling with patience than she'd ever had before. And so she returned a week later and she scolded Bishop Sheen. She said, "You said you were going to pray for me. I have never struggled more with patience than I did this week, the week you promised you were going to pray for me to have patience." And the bishop and wise man said, "Well, of course you did. Did you not think that God would give you an opportunity to exercise patience? Why didn't you use those opportunities?" Friends, it is below human dignity for God to control us. That is why God only makes requests of us. He offers us His grace, and He asks us through our free will to say yes. Most of us know this happens in ordinary relationships we have in our life. The tendency is to always want to control the situation. The reason why scientists fall in love with their field is because they can control it. And unfortunately, often because they end up manipulating it, because they feel that they know it. But that's not like a relationship with God. There are always question marks. There's always an opportunity to exercise true faith, because with a true and living God, you have to realize that you're not in control. And in control, we know, only leads to frustration, because things never work out exactly the way we want them to. Faith is the ability to believe in what God has revealed in His Son, that we can be forgiven for our sins, and in entering His Paschal mystery, entering into the great theodrama, the great musical harmony, the great life that God has prepared for us, and not the ones we prepared for ourselves, means that there is a new day beyond this life. And so there's no reason why we need to control it. To simply let God be in charge is the true meaning of faith. Take, for example, the cloudy days that we've had. I don't know anyone that has told me, "It's cloudy today, Father, but it's going to be sunny someday." Now they say, "It's cloudy, it's dreary, what are we going to do?" Well, that's easy. Hope for the sun. Have faith that one day the sun will come out. I'm thinking of an Annie song right now. The sun will come out tomorrow. In the Christian life, though, that's real faith. Trusting that God, no matter what the circumstances are in our life, is going to bring something good out of it. And we have such great examples, especially today in the gospel and the parable. Why does He follow it up with the parable of the servant? Because the servant has no control. They just thought they've been working. Okay, I've been working, now I get my reward, right? Well, no, God's still in control. Would you work a little further? Why does He do that? To stretch us, to stretch our faith. In the same way we stretch our patience by using those opportunities to be patient. He uses circumstances in our life that we can't control to stretch our ability to trust in Him. So today, friends, as we read our gospel, we open our hearts to God's providence in our life. We allow Him to take control like so many great saints, some of them even to the point of allowing themselves to be sacrificed as martyrs because they refused to deny what they knew through faith to be true. And so today, friends, we ask that God, the God that we cannot control, not the God of science, but the God who created the world, to help us trust Him once again today.